Hello, everyone. Welcome to my podcast. So, in this podcast, we're just going to talk. What we're going to talk about? We're going to talk about space. So, where does space actually go to? Why is there so much black matter in space? I don't understand. Why is there black matter? When you look up in the sky, you see stars. During the day, you see the sun. You can see the moon during the night. And why do you see black matter? What is that black matter? So it can't just be the end, because what's the end? We don't know. But what I think it is that there is some kind of space out there which we can't see, and because it's so far away, it's just black. There's a lot of talks about black holes, but what's the evidence that black holes actually exist? They can't tell what a black hole. They just know that something got sucked into it because light got sucked into it too. So they think it's black holes. But I'm not so sure about that because I think that it really could be something other than that. It could be that there's more out there that we can't see and it's so far away. You know how far away the closest star is? 4.3 light years. That's kind of far. Imagine the furthest star. And imagine even further than that. That's kind of far. Now, there's the thing about that if something on a planet gets to the right place and the planet is the right distance from the sun, it's able to make people over billions of years. I think that it's obviously there's a God. I'm talking about science here, what we can see. We don't know what there is when they talk about there's a God. That's something that we don't know. We believe we don't know. But I'm talking about science here. Over billions of years, could see that the planet peoples. The planet gets more life on it, gets to the right exact distance from a star, and it's able to do that. And what happens is that every single time there is a planet with people on it, they become so intelligent and so smart that they outsmart themselves. They either start a nuclear war, AI takes over, something happens that destroys it. The other theory is that the reason why ancient humans, before the Torah was given, before any other religion, was that they worshipped the stars and the sun. Because humans made AI, humans perfected AI, and then humans worshipped the sun because the sun destroyed AI. And it's kind of like how we know that God took the Jews out of Egypt and they worshipped God because God took them out of Egypt. Now, that's a religious example, and people worship things for all sorts of reasons. We don't know what's true and what's not true. We just know what we see, but we also know we believe. We believe there's a God. We believe that God created the world and believe that God is kind and compassionate. Did God leave the world when he created the world? You know, there's a lot of talks about different things. I know that I read in a very deep book on Kabbalah where it says that when God created the world, he created the world in 6 days, rested on the seventh, and then left the world. What does that mean? He left the world, because if he leaves the world, then the world will cease to exist. You know, so I think that probably what happened was that there's different levels of God. We know that there's God that created the world. There's God that is the Almighty, the one that we worship and we believe in, and then there's the God that continues the world to exist. It's all one God, but it's different parts of him. And there's the upper levels, the lower levels, and then also every single thing, every single person, every single rock, every single animal, every single plant, everything is a part of God. So I wanted to talk about, we know that King Solomon, Shlomo HaMelech, said that there is what's in Hebrew, in chadash tachas hashemesh, there is nothing new under the sun. Nothing is new. Nothing that was created is actually new. Humans just made the best way and then a better way to have an object, have a product, have something. There's really nothing new. And sometimes when it's better, it's actually worse because our intelligence is only so far. It only goes so far, and AI it seems to be smarter, but that's just all the human intelligence together. That only goes so far. But back to the point, they create something new and something newer and something newer, but each time it was really just something better than the last one. We have AI. AI is just artificial intelligence. We have intelligence already. There are very smart people out there, and some of them can be even smarter than artificial intelligence. And also, anything that was put into artificial intelligence, any knowledge was there already. Just got it in a better way, new way. And if somebody creates, let's say, a car was already there. There's going to be a wagon, a horse and wagon. Before horse and wagon, it was people walk by foot. And they just have a better way to travel. It's not about that somebody actually figured out a better way to build a car. It's a better way to travel. And even with let's go back to the telephone. The telephone was just a better way to travel as well. It was another way to do all these things that come out better than before. So I don't think that anything is actually new or anything is actually even better. I think that it was better when we were able to just talk face to face and enjoy life. But you know what I actually think is causing that? You know what we could change that would make that better and actually better? I think that if we figure out a way to not use social media the way that it's currently being used, I think that it's not the people on social media who are causing the problem or people who we know about that are causing the problem. I think it's more about what we know less about. We know that a lot of other countries want to confuse us to be able to start war with us. And they want to think that like a man could be a woman could be a man, and all that garbage. Why do they want to do that? They want to confuse us. But how do they do it? They do it with artificial intelligence that goes into social media and makes it tricks the algorithm to think that that's the way people think. They're doing a good job at it. And the only way we can get rid of that is if we have a social media accounts. We have that social media accounts have to be verified in order to be on social media. If we could do that, and we could actually have a way, a system that they scan it, I know that it's not so complicated to create a fake social media account with a blue check mark. I'm telling you, there are lots and lots of those accounts out there with blue check marks that are not real accounts. They have to figure out a way that's connected to all the Department of Motor Vehicles, that you have your ID, you give your ID to the social media account, and it scans it, and it comes back as real. I think it's all garbage that it actually works the way it currently works. I think we have to have government intervention in that, but not in the way they can say what they can't say, but that if they're not actual human being, they're just a robot that some government created, then it's a problem. I don't think it's on the inside our government. I don't think Bernie Sanders is actually a spy. I think that there's a lot of corruption with a lot of them, like especially Joe Biden. But for the most part, it's not them that are doing it. They're just following along with all this nonsense that China, Russia, Iran put into social media. Um, and it was very obvious from the beginning that obviously the one who tried to assassinate Trump was the one who tried to assassinate Trump was Iran. It's pretty obvious. There's no other way to explain it other than Iran decided to assassinate Trump. Nobody would just assassinate Trump unless they were doing that, first of all. Second of all, Iran has all the incentives to be able to do that because they're going to lose a lot of money when Trump is president. China, at least he wants to work together with them. But Iran is going to literally be broke in just a couple of weeks now that Trump is elected. I think that Trump really could do a lot good for this country, but he's also causing a lot of problems because, well, no, that's not his fault. These people, these Democrats, were so nice to these countries, and now that he's gonna stop that, that caused a lot of problems. I hope not a world war. But as I said in the last podcast, I think that in order to prevent a nuclear war, all we got to do is we got to have enough anti-ICBMs ready. We don't have enough of them. They are very expensive, but they have to do it. They have to put the money into it. For some of the $800 billion that they spend towards the military and defense and everything, it's very simple for them to just do that. You know, I don't think that it should be a problem in the $800 billion to just have enough anti-ICBMs to be able to intercept the thousands and thousands of ICBMs Russia and China have. It will barely put a dent in it. They got to cut the spending somewhere and put the spending in there, because that's the main worry we have. We don't need to go invade other countries. We have all sorts of ways to do it other than invading other countries. You know, like when they went into Afghanistan. Well, that was 20 years ago, but today, if they would need to go into Afghanistan, God forbid again, right now they probably will have to. But if they have to, then they could just do it a lot easier. Um, yeah, I don't think that they should really go into war with anyone. But it's great that we have all this reserve, all this military equipment, so many soldiers, so many people that are involved in the military. These people are getting paid good for a reason, and they're risking their life. They're on reserve to be able to fight and protect our country if necessary. Our country has a lot of advantages. We can do a lot of things. I think that when Russia invaded Ukraine, then they did that because they wanted to have power, right? I mean, they didn't do it because they just didn't like Ukraine. I think the reason why they did that was because they wanted to have power. They wanted to have the historic Ukraine, right? So if that's the case, then we have to show strength. We got to show them, no, we can't do that. It's not allowed. The U.S. is gonna stop them. Obviously, we can't have a third world war and put them into danger, but our troops into danger. But what we could do is we could figure out a way to definitely figure out a way to stop the war. I'm not so good at that necessarily, I'm just a podcaster. But I think there's a way that they could definitely figure out a way to stop the war. But one way definitely not to do it is not to send money to Ukraine. Ukraine was not part of NATO. We have NATO all ready for if there's a bigger war, God forbid. And, Putin didn't really want to invade Ukraine. None of his people wanted him to. He's just an idiot. He's getting old, going a little crazy. But I wonder if there's a way we could take out Putin, because the truth is the war is barely any of it. He treats his people like garbage. The fact that people protested and went to jail because they protested, kind of like January 6th, which is unfortunate, but worse. January 6th was in our country, and our country is a free country. We can't have people who got arrested for protesting when there's a double standard, and people who protested by the January 6th riot did not get in trouble, and did get in trouble. And the people who went to the Black Lives Matter riots and burnt down buildings, they got in trouble. Or actually, they didn't. They should have, but they didn't. Black Lives Matter riots were unfortunate. But what happened with January 6th was out of this world. It should have happened. Shouldn't have happened. And, there's people who got arrested, really, really shouldn't have gotten arrested. I don't know. I know Trump freed them, but that was totally bananas. What happened with Putin was that he arrested people for protesting outside the Kremlin, for doing the war in Ukraine. That was totally wrong. You can't arrest somebody because they did that. It's just not right. They should have continued to protest, though. They should have all stood up against Putin. They want to prevent the world war. Because maybe if they would have prevented the world war, then they would have stopped a third world war. You know? You get what I'm saying? If they would have just protested, then what would have happened? They would have went to jail. Well, we might very soon be at the end of the world because of the World War III. I don't know what's exactly going to happen because this is bananas. This is not normal. Why in the world would people want to start world wars? I have the same question with the health industry. Why would somebody not want the health industry to start no matter how much money they have? Like how much money they're going to gain and how much money it's going to cause. They need to really use their common sense and not destroy the health industry. I don't think that any of these things really have any common sense. I think these people just aren't thinking, or they're just not smart. If you listen to my podcast, you get smart. You think. You learn how to critical think. Or maybe you do already. Maybe you're already smart. I'll be happy to hear from you, and I'd be happy to talk to you about that. I'm happy to know that you're smart. But you can't just be an idiot and run the health place. But the problem is that most people who want to run these places are idiots because smart people just want to build a family. They just want to live life to the fullest. Smart people aren't thinking about that, and it's usually the idiots who want to go into politics and want to do those kind of things. We know that Donald Trump may have done it totally, for God, but usually when people go into politics or they run a corporation, they're just very desperate for money, and they are very desperate for attention, and they're very desperate for life to be good because smart people, life is already good. When you're smart, you're just a smart person, and life is already good. So, I mean, it's very difficult to decide who's good and who's bad, but I could tell you that most people who go into politics, most people who do these things, most people who run health industries, health companies, even doctors sometimes just needed meaning in life, so they did that much, and they couldn't stop. People who are smart and brilliant and have what to say are usually not people who do that. Some podcasters say that anything past a certain amount of money is not worth any money. But then why are they getting so big? to be honest, once my podcast gets as big as possible, I'm just gonna be maybe I'll be doing it for the fun of it, but I don't see why I need to continue when it gets really big. Once I have enough money to live comfortably, the only reason why I would do it would be because I would want to make people happy and, do the work of God and inform people on what I have to say because I know that many people like what I say. Many people just like listening to me talk. And I like to make people happy. I like to have a podcast. They don't have a reason to have like sponsorships and things like that, and send me a Zelle and a PayPal and a Cash App and a buy me a coffee. I don't need all that because I know this podcast is going to get big, and I'm going to make money from doing the podcast. I'm not going to need to make more money than that. But then why do people do it? So many of these people may have been through some really, really challenging things in their life. Many people may have grew up without their father, and sometimes, you know what it is? Sometimes they have the best father, and sometimes the best father is very strict and wants the person to do a lot in life and make sure that they grow up and be good. So those could be the people who are like Donald Trump. I don't know about Donald Trump's father, but I know that Donald Trump is a very disciplined person. I mean, he is very wild, and he has like he's a teenager, but he to some extent, but he's still is a very disciplined person and just does the right thing, you know. And there are many other good people. Elon Musk. I don't know if he had a father, he didn't have a father, but I know that he is a very good person. And let me say also that with the probably biggest podcaster in the world, Joe Rogan, he had no father. His father left him. His father was a drunk person, and he became a great person because he educated himself. He was the one who became the person who he became. It didn't take him a great, great father to be able to do that. Anyway, I'm fascinated by the way technology has went, but I'm more scared than fascinated, Because bad people can do bad things. There are more bad people in other countries that just care about their country than good people. And besides, there's people within this country that are corrupt, like Joe Rogan. Well, Joe Rogan, Joe Biden. Most people only care about themselves, and I'm saying even some good people, they just care about themselves, and they're just good to some extent. But somebody has got to really wake up and realize that we have to focus on other people. We got to care about other people and love each other and do everything we could for each other. Not what Hollywood says love is, which is me, 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 me. Love meaning you see the person important, so you have to respect them. And every person in the world deserves respect and to be good to. If we would all care about each other and care less about ourselves, the world would be a much better place to be. Certain people are just bad people, and you stay away from those people. But try to be a better person. Try to be good to others. All right. Have a good day. Have a good night, wherever you are. I'll talk to you next time.